Have you ever looked at a puddle after it rains? You see the dirt and the water all mixed up. It looks messy, right? Now what if I told you we could take that same idea and put it inside a glass jar? What if we could mix a little bit of land and a little bit of water, seal it up, and see what happens? It sounds like a recipe for a sludgy, smelly disaster. You might think everything inside would just turn into a gross brown soup. It seems like a strange thing to do, putting dirt and water together, on purpose, and hoping for something good to come out of it. It goes against what we usually think, which is that we need to keep things clean and separate. But science is all about asking what if. It's about trying things that seem a little bit crazy just to see the results. This experiment is exactly that. We are going to build a tiny planet, a miniature Earth, right on our tabletop. We will give it land, and we will give it water. Then, we will seal it, and watch. Will it fail? Maybe. That's part of the fun of science. Failure is just another word for a learning opportunity. The possibility of creating a mucky mess is what makes the potential for success so incredibly exciting. It's a bold experiment in a small package, a test of nature's rules. This little jar becomes a biosphere. That's a big word, but it just means a place where life exists. Our planet, Earth, is one giant biosphere. It has land, water, air, and living things all working together in a delicate balance. Our experiment tries to copy that, but on a much, much smaller scale. We are putting all the necessary ingredients for a self-sustaining world into one container and hoping they figure out how to get along. It's a challenge to see if we can recreate the magic of our own world, even in a tiny, humble jar. The question is, can life find a way to thrive in the little world we build for it? So, are you ready to be a world builder? This experiment is more than just mixing mud and water. It's about observation, patience, and understanding balance. It's a chance to see the powerful forces of nature up close. We're going to explore how living and non-living things interact with each other. We will witness cycles, like the water cycle, happening right before our eyes. It might get messy, and it might not work the first time, but the journey of discovery is what science is all about. Let's get our hands a little dirty and see if we can create a living, breathing world in a jar. Consider the science. First things first, let's gather our materials. Every great scientist needs a well-equipped lab, and for this experiment, our lab is our kitchen table. The most important item you'll need is a clear jar with a lid that seals tightly. A large pickle jar or a spaghetti sauce jar works perfectly. The clearer the glass, the better you'll be able to see the amazing science happening inside. The tight-fitting lid is crucial because we are going to create a closed system, a world that is almost completely cut off from the outside. This is a key part of our planetary design. Next up, we need the land part of our world. For this, you'll need some small stones or pebbles. These will form the bottom layer of our jar ecosystem. Think of them as the bedrock of your tiny planet. They create space for water to collect without turning all the soil into mud. On top of the stones, we will need some soil. You can get this from your backyard or a garden. Try to find soil that looks rich and dark, as it will have more nutrients for our plants. Make sure to check the soil for any big clumps or rocks and break them up. Of course, a world isn't complete without water. You can use regular tap water for this part of the experiment. The water is what will bring our world to life, allowing the plants to drink and creating a water cycle inside the jar. Finally, we need the living inhabitants of our new planet. A few small plants. Small ferns, mosses, or other hardy, moisture-loving plants are excellent choices. You can often find these growing in shady, damp spots in a garden. Gently dig them up, making sure to keep some of their roots intact. These little green pioneers will be the stars of our show. So, let's review our checklist. We have a clear jar with a lid, our foundational small stones, the nutrient-rich soil, the life-giving water, and our small, brave plant explorers. That's it. These simple items are all you need to begin your world-building adventure. Each piece has a special role to play in the system we are about to create. Having everything ready before you start makes the building process smooth and fun. It's like a chef preparing their ingredients before they start cooking. Let's get everything laid out and prepare for assembly. Alright, future world builders, it's time to assemble your biosphere. Grab your clean, clear jar. The first step is to create a drainage layer. Take your small stones or pebbles and carefully place them at the bottom of the jar. You'll want to create a layer that is about 1 or 2 inches deep. This layer is super important. It prevents the soil from becoming a waterlogged swamp. Any excess water will trickle down through the soil and collect here, keeping the plant roots healthy and happy. Think of it as your planet's underground reservoir system. Now for the next layer, the soil. Gently spoon the soil on top of the stones. You should add enough to create a layer that is about 2 to 3 inches deep, giving your plants plenty of room to spread their roots. Don't pack the soil down too tightly. You want it to stay a little bit loose so that air and water can move through it. After you have your soil layer in place, use your finger or a small spoon to dig a few small holes where you plan to place your plants. This is like preparing a garden bed for planting. It's time to introduce life to your new world. Take your small plants and very carefully place them into the holes you made. Gently pat the soil around the base of each plant to make sure it is secure. Try to arrange them in a way that looks nice, but also give them a little space from each other and from the sides of the jar. These plants are your world's lungs. They will produce the oxygen that helps keep the system alive. They are the most important residents of your tiny glass planet, so be gentle with them. The final step is to add water. Slowly and carefully pour a small amount of water into the jar. You don't want to flood your new world. Just add enough to make the soil damp but not soaking wet. You should see some water trickling down into the pebble layer at the bottom. Once you've added the water, wipe any dirt from the inside walls of the jar above the soil line for a clear view. Then, screw the lid on tightly. Your world is now complete and sealed. Place it in a spot where it can get some indirect sunlight, but not direct sun, which could cook it. Now that your world is built and sealed, the great experiment begins. What could go wrong? Well, quite a few things. This is science, and sometimes experiments lead to disaster. One common problem is that the water gets very cloudy or the soil turns into a sludgy mess. This often happens if you add too much water at the beginning. Another potential disaster is a bad smell. If your jar starts to smell like rotten eggs or decay, it's a sign that something has died and bacteria are taking over. This could happen if a plant doesn't survive the transplant and begins to rot. You might also notice that your plants begin to wither and turn brown. This could be a sign of too little water, or it could be that the jar is getting too hot from too much direct sunlight. Sometimes, you might see mold growing on the surface of the soil or on the plants themselves. This fuzzy white or green growth means the environment is too damp and stagnant. If any of these disasters happen, don't be discouraged. It's a valuable learning experience. You can always open the jar, clean it out, and try again, adjusting how much water or light you use. But what if things go right? What if you get the balance just perfect? That's when the magic happens. After a few days, you might see condensation forming on the inside of the jar. The water evaporates from the soil, turns into vapor, cools on the glass, and then rains back down onto the plants and soil. You have created a real, working water cycle. You might see your tiny plants not just surviving, but thriving. They may grow new leaves, reaching towards the light. You have successfully created a self-sustaining ecosystem, a little world that takes care of itself. The most exciting discovery is when you see your little world truly come alive. If you were lucky, there might have been tiny insect eggs or microscopic creatures in the soil you used. Weeks later, you might spot a tiny bug crawling on a leaf or a small worm wiggling through the soil. Your jar has become a habitat. This simple experiment of mixing land and water is so much more than it seems. It teaches us about the delicate balance in nature. It shows us how plants, water, soil, and light all work together to support life. It's a powerful lesson about our own planet, Earth, contained right there in a jar on your windowsill, so go ahead, give it a try.